Hi, this is Lethea from Farm View Creators. Today we're going to work on the Farm Fresh Apple Quads. They fit in the interchangeable frames and they're so cute. So here's all the quads, and I'm just going to take off the pieces and put them on my sticky board, and I'm categorizing them by what colors I'm thinking I'm going to paint them. So I'm putting all my reds together, all my browns, all my teals, all together. And while I'm doing this, I'm trying to think of how do I want to paint the backgrounds. So I am going to do Van Dyke Brown, semi-gel glaze stain from Paint Couture on 3 of the backgrounds, and also on one of the little jar banners and some of the words. I love the color of this glaze. It's just so beautiful and rich. I'm going to give that a quick dry, mainly because on 2 of those I'm going to go in with Folk Art Crackle Medium, and you want your piece to be dry before you put that crackle medium on. Trying to kind of brush it on evenly and make sure I have it full coverage. I like a larger crackle, so I go pretty heavy. And now I am going to go in with Peacock from Paint Couture. This is a mineral acrylic, and I'm going to hit those cute little hearts that fit into all of the apples. And then I'm also going to do some of the decorative pieces on one of the backboards. I love the details in this kit. And then I decided that I was going to do the frame on the other one just to kind of tie the 4 pieces together. I wanted to wiggle on me because I do reuse my sticky boards. And then I'm going to go in with Barn Door. This is a chalk style paint from Paint Couture, and I'm going to hit my apples with that. I don't really need to paint that whole leaf on that half apple because it is going to be covered up by its own little piece. And the same with the large apple. There is a leaf that goes on top to give it dimension. Don't know why I painted that one, but who knows. And I'm going to hit those cute little apples. Had to be real careful on those because they do not have pieces that cover the leaves. And then I'm also going to hit the fabric top to the jar. I'm going to go back in later and add some cute little polka dots to that. Now I'm going to go in with Autumn Sage, which is also a chalk style paint from Paint Couture. I'm going to use a little sponge dauber on those leaves because I'm really trying to keep that score line evident. And then I'm just going to brush it in on the tiny, tiny little leaves on the little apples. They're so cute. I'm going to hit that with another layer, but I'm going to let it dry for a minute while I do my second layer with my Peacock. Peacock is one of my favorite colors right now. That and Autumn Sage and Barn Door. I have a lot of favorite colors. I can't choose just one. I'm going to hit my Barn Door with a second layer. Really trying to make sure on that second layer that I'm having even strokes. Still trying to paint with the grain, although sometimes that's a little more difficult than others. As a teacher, I love apples. Love, love, love. Hitting that Autumn Sage one more time, including the little tiny leaves. And then I'm going to go in with Truffle. This is kind of a gray-brown dark shade, so I'm going to use that on my stems and that little arrow that totally wanted to wiggle around on me. I really like this color. It's the first time I used it, but I love it. Now I'm going to go in with Buttermilk from Decor. It's a really good background color. I am using this color to tie it in with the beaded frame that I'm going to put this set in, because it fits perfectly in there. Hitting that with a second layer. And making sure all of that is nice and dry. And now I'm going to go in and work on my backboards. I'm making sure that that crackle medium is nice and dry. I think on the large apple piece, I actually dried it with the heater too much and got it too hot. You'll see later that it does not crackle as well as the other one does. I'm using a roller to put my buttermilk on the backboard of the shiplap sign. I did that with absolutely no pressure because I want that shiplap score to show through. And then I am heavily brushing on my buttermilk onto the jar or jug background, and you can already see how well it's crackling, and that's with no extra heat. And now I go in with my truffle on the apple background, and it just did not want to crackle. So that's why I'm thinking I got it too hot when I force dried it. It is always better to let your crackle medium self dry. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to distress all of my beautiful pieces. I did leave 2 pieces in their natural wood color. I wanted it to contrast with the Van Dyke brown stain. And the distressing just really pulls out some of the colors and the score lines. And just gives it more dimension, and it also gives it that vintage aged look, which is what I like to go for. It takes time, but it's totally worth it. I'm even going to hit the backgrounds, run it through the insides of them. Look how pretty that crackle turned out. Buttermilk probably is consistently the best crackle that I ever get with any of the paints on the Folk Art Crackle Medium. And then I'm going to hit that truffle. It does have a little bit of cracking around the edges, so that's enough for me. I'm not going to stand it back or anything. And now I'm going to add my little polka dots. I'm using the end of a tiny paintbrush and dipping it in my buttermilk and just kind of making triangles across the piece. And then I'm going to go in and do a trio of dots on my apples and my leaves just to give them a little extra something something, and paint the little tie on the jar. Give all that a really good dry before I go in with my favorite top coat. Paint Couture's Dead Flat top coat takes out all of the shine and gives it that nice protective layer. My little cork to my jug wanted to wiggle around. I had lots of wiggling in this craft. As you can see, my Dead Flat is getting really low because I use it all the time. Although it does not take much. I've had it a long time, and a little goes a long way. I'm just making sure I hit all those pieces. And then giving it a good dry, because the next step is to put them all together and see how cute they are. I'm just trying to group them semi near each other, similar pieces. As I take it off, I'm going to use my art glitter glue. Love this glue because it dries clear, does not make my fingers sticky, and also gives a little bit of wiggle room when I need to kind of move some pieces around. Mostly letters are what I try to move around sometimes, just to get them lined up and make sure that they are right. I'm going to use my Cricut weeding tool to get some of the goopy glue out of those little holes. That doesn't happen as much if you use a sponge dauber on those little pieces. But sometimes I just use a brush because it's already got paint on it. Those little hearts fit specifically in certain places, so I had to figure out where they went and then got them all matched up. Look how cute. And then I'm going to start gluing. I like to glue starting at the top layers and working my way down. Sometimes I'll finish one complete piece before I move on to another. Other times I'll just kind of sporadically. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just however my brain wants to do it that day. Just making sure I get those layers lined up. And you can still see the score lines to see where the letters go and where the pieces go on the backboards. And I really like that. So cute. Just making sure that lines up with the score lines and is centered on the piece. Getting that sweet little apple centered on the banner, or the label wrap, I guess. Making sure I get that where I want it. And getting that in the score lines and putting that cute little lid on there. And there you have it. I love them so much. You could switch them all around. And there they are out in the sunshine this morning. And then again, they fit perfectly in the beaded interchangeable frame and the shutter frame. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, be sure to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment. Thanks. Bye.